Council. Fox Sports 980.
I'm Zach Harris, and this is For the Love of Sports, a show by a fan for the fans. And remember, if you need to take me on the go, you can't stand by your radio, download your free iHeart Radio app and search Fox Sports 980, your Capital Region's home for sports. If you want to get in touch with the show on Facebook, at For the Love of Sports or at Fox Sports 980. Or if you want to call into the show, the number's 518-690-0980. That's 518-690-0980. So there's a disgruntled wide receiver by the name of Antonio Brown that it just seems like every time he opens his mouth, it gets worse and worse. We talk a lot about OBJ, especially being in the New York market, the New York media. We talk a lot about OBJ being a distraction. I don't think we talk enough about how big Antonio Brown is as a distraction. And this all started Week 17. And this is what Antonio Brown had to say about Week 17.
Week 17, we coming off a big loss against the Saints. Yo, I'm sore. We just been on the turf. I come see the coach. I say, Coach, I'm sore, man. Like, what are you thinking? Like, you know, I need a couple of days to get right. Coach, like, man, you sore? Just go home if you're sore. Go home. You want me to go home? All right, go home. It's the last game of the year. I went home. So he told you sore, you can't play, go home.
So as you hear there, coach tells him go home if he's sore. This late in the season, Week 17, who isn't sore? Honestly. Now, I don't know the extent of his injury. Maybe there was something more there that left to be desired in that comment. Or maybe, he's just sitting there saying he's sore. But honestly, when you play 16 games in a 17-week stretch, you're going to be sore. Whether you actually get on the field and play every single snap, or if you have a spot fill-in for the wide receivers, tight ends, whatever the case may be, even as a spot fill-in during the practices, the games, you're going to feel sore. So it all started that Week 17. And then during the offseason, you had the GM coming out talking about Ben Roethlisberger and how they back him as a quarterback because Antonio Brown's sitting there smashing their quarterback, their franchise quarterback, their soon to be eventually a Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. So you had the GM coming out saying, well, our quarterback's been there. Our quarterback's won a Super Bowl before. So basically, the only guy on our team that's won a Super Bowl, we have Ben Roethlisberger and 52 kids. So Antonio Brown had something to say about being called kids.
What ideally grown man is call another grown man a kid? 52 kids, like you don't have no respect for these guys. Like, these are the guys that go to work for you. And that's what I'm telling you guys, that's my issue. You know what I'm saying? It's all about respect. Obviously, everyone's not going to be treated the same. Everyone's on different levels. But it got to be a common respect. Because if there's a common respect, this guy going to go a little harder. Mm-hmm. That guy going to go a little harder. And that's going to produce winning. I know what it takes to win.
Now, you see here at the end, he says, I know what it takes to win. So does Ben Roethlisberger. He's won 2 Super Bowls, and he's trying to win a third. So you're going to sit there and say you know what it takes to win. What have you won, Antonio Brown? What wide receiver, what elite wide receiver has won a Super Bowl? In recent memory, you can't think of any. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey, but a lot of people have him on the next tier. You look at the Patriots, you look at the Seattle Seahawks, you look at the Eagles. All these guys, they may have a number 1 wide receiver, but they don't have an elite wide receiver. So I think he's kind of over-evaluating himself, and he's basically become a distraction, and this is what he has to say about being a distraction.
Hey, once you're doing your own thing, it's like, yo, this guy a distraction, he this type of guy. All I ever been was a guy who came from Central Michigan, 6th round, worked his ass off. That's all. You know what I'm saying?
How about that?
3 contracts later, you know I'm looking the game.
And now he's a distraction. All of a sudden, I mean, it's the same as going with AD right now. I mean,
So they're saying that him and Anthony Davis are the same situation right now, that all of a sudden they are concerned about themselves, that they're a distraction. It's not that you're a distraction because you're concerned about yourself. By all means, young man, go get your money. I'm never going to turn down a player that wants to go get their money, because when it comes to me and my job, I want to go get the money. So I'm never going to turn down or look badly upon a player that wants to go get their money. But when you're sitting here talking about the GM, talking about the quarterback and how awful they are, you become a distraction. And he sits there and he says he's not a distraction. Well, listen to what he says next.
Bro, listen, I don't even have to play football if I don't want, bro. I don't even need the game. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to prove nothing to anyone. If they want to play, they're going to play by my rules. If not, I don't need to play.
So he's sitting there saying, if they want me to play, they're going to have to play by my rules. How is that not a distraction? You look at OBJ, and yeah, he does a lot of stuff that may seem like a distraction, but when it comes game time, that's a guy I can count on to sit there and go, listen, I want to win games. I'm going to put my heart and soul in this. I'm going to try to take a 5-yard pass to the house, which he's done a couple of times to win a game by himself, taking a short pass from Eli Manning to the house. So as much as we sit there and criticize OBJ, and trust me, I've criticized him a lot, I trust him to go out on that field and try to win me a game, compared to Antonio Brown sitting there saying, listen, you're going to play by my rules. You're creating this off-the-field distraction. You look at OBJ and him being in the New York media, the media tries to create the distraction. Right here, Antonio Brown is sitting there creating the distraction. Now, somebody brought up the point, why can't he repair things with the Steelers and remain with an all-time great quarterback, a Hall of Fame type quarterback?
Yeah, a little too late. Just things not getting better, he's not changing. You know what I mean? He just stated it. It's 52 kids and it's this guy. So it's like, bro, it's one team. Like, obviously this guy's here, but even if the team's here, when we together, we all here. That's what it is, man. Just understanding truths. It's not a fight, man. It's just the truth. And he confirmed the truth. 52 kids and this is a guy.
So 52 kids and a guy, referring to Ben Roethlisberger, a 2-time Super Bowl champ. So once again, you're coming at the quarterback. Go on any team. The quarterback's the leader. You go to the Patriots, it's Tom Brady and the other 52 guys. You go to the Saints, it's Drew Brees and the other 52 guys. I'm sorry, but once again, elite wide receivers don't win you Super Bowls. They're nice pieces. They'll help you get to the Super Bowl, but they don't win you Super Bowls. The quarterback does. It's a quarterback-driven league. And I think he's overvaluating himself and sitting there saying, you know, I can go to any team I want and succeed. Well, you know what teams want him? You got the Washington Redskins, the Tennessee Titans, you have the Raiders in the mix. Teams that aren't close to competing for a championship. You have the Tennessee Titans that are closer than the other teams, but you look at Marcus Mariota as a quarterback, and to even put him and Ben Roethlisberger in the same sentence is just straight up disrespectful to Ben Roethlisberger, a future Hall of Famer. So one of his good buddies, Larry Fitzgerald, that we all know and love, Fitzgerald came out and kind of said to AB, listen, life is always greener on the other side, but stay where you are.
I love AB. He's Mr. Big Chest is a good friend of mine. But I don't think he's going about it the right way personally. You know, to be able to play with an all-time quarterback like he's able to play with, I don't think he understands how good he has it. It could get tough out there. Yeah.
Now you hear the laughing in the background when Larry Fitzgerald said that at one of his conferences. He knows all about taking advantage of playing with an elite quarterback when he has. Because if you look at the list of quarterbacks that he's played with in his 15-year career, and he's never shied away from playing for the Cardinals, he's never once demanded a trade. A couple of years ago, he almost got traded, but he's never demanded a trade. Let's take a look at the list of quarterbacks that Larry Fitzgerald has played with compared to Antonio Brown with a future Hall of Famer in Ben Roethlisberger. So you have Josh McCown, Larry Fitzgerald's played with, Sean King, John Navarre, Brian St. Pierre, Kurt Warner, Matt Leinart, Tim Ratatouille, Derek Anderson, Max Hall, John Skeleton, Kevin Kolb, Ryan Lindley, Brian Hoyer, Carson Palmer, Drew Stanton, Blaine Gabbert, Sam Bradford, and Josh Rosen as of last year. So you take a look at what Larry Fitzgerald has done with all those quarterbacks over a 15-year career, and it kind of puts you in perspective like, listen, Antonio Brown, you need to shut your mouth because you don't know how good you have it. And I think Antonio Brown is just very overvaluing himself. And he needs to realize that, once again, this is a quarterback-driven league. Wide receivers, elite wide receivers, yeah, they're a nice touch, but they're not winning you the Super Bowl. Recent memory says elite quarterbacks over elite wide receivers. So Antonio Brown, this is my one last shout out to you. Do whatever you can to fix it, because Washington's calling, Tennessee's calling, a bunch of teams that don't have quarterbacks have come calling. And if I'm the Steelers, if you're treating my organization like that, why am I going to be on the best lookout for your interests? You know? So